Ladies and gentlemen, it is a special day today. It's an anniversary. The Xbox 360 is now 20 years old. And for me, it was a massive turning point, I'd say, for the entire industry, where we went from mostly being disconnected with our systems to being fully connected. And while there are pros and cons to all of that, I mean, it's hard to deny what the Xbox 360 was able to do. And rather than do an entire retrospective of the system itself for the 7 or 8 years of that generation when it was the primary focus, because I've done many videos actually each year just about, I've done a video about the Xbox 360 and why I think it's still worth picking one up. I wanted to go all the way back, like to the original release time, that window, the buildup, the excitement, the hype, and even go back to the first time I remember playing the Xbox 360. Yeah, I have an image of the kiosk, the kiosk demo that I first tried out the system in store with, and I thought we'd have some fun and play it here today and see if I can ruin some of the nostalgia that I have, because there's one game in particular that I have not played since that very day, and we're gonna see how it holds up here. So if you guys enjoy the video, hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. In 2005, Microsoft unveiled the Xbox 360 officially for the first time on MTV. It was this big special event with Elijah Wood hosting, and it gave us our first look at the new console. The Killers also performed their newest song, Mr. Brightside. So are you feeling old yet? Yeah, it's going to be one of those kind of videos. There were a number of games that were shown for the 360, including Tony Hawk American Wasteland, Tiger Woods PGA Tour 06, Need for Speed Most Wanted, Madden 06, which was not at all how the game actually looked, by the way, Cameo, Ghost Recon, Project Gotham Racing 3, NBA 2K6, Quake 4, Call of Duty 2, The Darkness, and Saints Row. There was a part where Microsoft explained the design process of the 360 along with a few prototypes that looked absolutely ridiculous. The big closeout was Perfect Dark Zero, where a couple of professional gamers played the multiplayer for a few minutes. And I know what you're thinking, Perfect Dark Zero, that was the closeout. Well, now we have hindsight, and we can look back on how a lot of these games turned out, yes. But at that time, we were seeing a whole new world in front of us with this Xbox 360. The games looked legitimately better. We don't really see those kinds of jumps anymore between generations. That was a jump that we could tell right away. A few months later, we got details on launch titles and pricing, and from there, it was full speed ahead towards the November 22nd launch for a console that was going to beat its competition to market by an entire year. The excitement talking with my friends over the summer and into the school year was crazy for this Xbox successor, especially coming off of Halo 2. That happened to release, the year prior. See, back then, Halo 2, while it was a great game, just outright, it was also a really good social experience. For the most part. I mean, different interactions, of course, online, it varied from person to person. But for me, it was a great place for myself and my friends to get online and be able to just chat while we're playing Halo 2. So at that time, it was, oh, you're going to get on AOL Instant Messenger. And that was the communication, because people who had a phone line, you had one phone and maybe a brother or sister was using it, or mom or dad or something. And some even kind of had dial-up back then that they still had to contend with. So when we got broadband, it was great, but the phone line would still be tied up. So you jump on Halo 2, even on a school night, and you could just kind of hang out, play Halo, and chat back and forth. And yeah, we talked quite a bit about the Xbox 360, who was getting it, what games we were really excited for, and what we wanted to see next, even for Halo. I remember poring over all the details that were hitting in the early days of the internet, and this was before YouTube, with some pretty basic looking websites, so a lot of the info would end up flowing through smaller forums by today's standards. Xbox's E3 that year went crazy. They showed games one after the other, and even had Square Enix up on stage with Final Fantasy XI. It was a good showing, and while there was discussion around some of the media capabilities of the new hardware, it was heavily focused on what we wanted: games. Pricing set the system at $400, and that's the one that came with the hard drive and the wireless controller. There was a cheaper core model that came in at $300. It was a bit out of my price range at the time, but a friend of mine actually ended up getting his dad to pre-order the big bundle edition for the system along with a few games. So I would eventually be able to check out this system at his place in December. Yeah, it took the rest of 2005 and into 2006 to even fill all the pre-orders, let alone get the system onto store shelves. The hype back then, I'm telling you guys, it was real. Once we had passed E3 that year, Microsoft really ramped up marketing heading into the holiday season for the launch with constant commercials and, of course, retail signage all over the place. And this leads us to the first time that I had a chance to play the Xbox 360. The first time I saw it in front of me on a screen, like actually in person, because up till then, I was watching stuff through compressed video. And if you think video right now is compressed on YouTube, 2005 compression. Yeah, it wasn't great. So now here I am at this store called FYE, and I don't know if a lot of people even know what that store is anymore. I don't even know if it's still around. Kind of feels like 80% of stores that we grew up with are just gone, out of business, dissolved. So FYE was a store that was kind of like pop culture, DVDs, CDs, like music, movies, games. It was just kind of all thrown into one place. But because they had games, they would also have interactives and kiosks and stuff. And they had the Xbox 360 First Experience 1.0 kiosk. And I found the demo or the kiosk image online, and I downloaded it, extracted it, and set it up here on my reset glitch hacked Xbox 360 so we could relive the experience from 2005 all over again. All right, here we are, and I actually got a controller sent in to me from Retro Fighters. It's this Hunter Xbox 360 controller, and I thought it was kind of cool because we don't really have a lot of companies making new Xbox 360 controllers anymore. It connects to a USB dongle, so you can also use it on other devices, but it works great on the Xbox 360. So shout out to Retro Fighters for sending this over, and I'll use it here in this video as we explore, and you can see right away, welcome to Xbox 360, and this is the kiosk that we had that was set up at the time that I remember checking out here. And I went back multiple times because it was at FYE in the mall across from the food court. Back then, you're mall rats mostly if you were in high school like I was. So we spent a lot of time there. And I remember going past this FYE, and whenever we did, and we pop in and check out this Xbox 360 again. It was only there for a few months because like 2 or 3 months. It got put in just ahead of the holiday season. Big rush for the holidays. And I will tell you that kiosk got used a lot. It got beaten up pretty quick. But still, I had a chance to check out the controller for the first time, everything. And this is what you're welcomed with here, where you have games. And that's what it comes up highlighted on, by the way. So they were really serious about, okay, check out the games that we have. We also have Xbox Live. That was a big talking point during E3 and even the MTV experience. They tried to get 5 or 6 minutes in there, just quickly, at least kind of introducing it to people and the idea of downloading games, a new concept then. Hardware and media. Again, media, while it's here, it's not super focused. And this is really cool, by the way. When you launch in, it's kind of a faux blade system. And if you get this image, you can play around with it as well. It's not a fully functional blade system. I have a blade system Xbox 360, and we've checked it out already in previous videos. It doesn't have all the same functionality. In fact, everything you choose here, so if I pick Marketplace, it'll just launch this trailer, is what it'll do. Which is fine. That's the idea, is to get people information about this. But that's not where I spent my time. And we quickly look through this because if we go to hardware, it'll show you the Xbox 360 systems, and it'll ask which one's right for you. So I told you there were 2 different versions of the system at launch. This is the full Xbox 360. It had the 20 gigabyte hard drive, the component cables, and the wireless controller, as well as a headset. They even threw an Ethernet cable in there for you. This, though, wasn't cheap. Again, $400 when it released in 2005. They even go over some of the core specs, the 3-core CPU, 3.2 gigahertz, 500 megahertz ATI, graphics processor, and 512 megabytes of RAM. But I mean, right at the top, the best games, period. That was it. Games first. Microsoft kind of lost that a little bit. But then they have a core system here. And this was the $300 one. It didn't have a hard drive, wired controller, and composite AV. And I'll tell you, some of the using composite for certain games like Dead Rising wasn't great. You couldn't read the subtitles, it was really funny, but it was just blurred. So certain games did expect you to have a decent TV, at least with the component connection. At FYE, I remember it was on a kind of like one of those early flat screens, and they must have been running it at least 720p, because the other thing I noticed is it looked super clean. compared to what I have at home, which wasn't the best TV technically. But anyway, going through here, there are a few games they have demos of, and there are some that are it's just like a trailer. Available content for Need for Speed Most Wanted, which was a launch title, by the way. Go in here, and it just plays the video. So you can sit there, I guess, in front of the kiosk and watch some trailers if you'd like. But for me, it was, okay, let me check out some of the games that had demos. So at the bottom right there, available content, you have the little disc next to it. That tells you that there is a demo of some kind that you can play. Now, there weren't many on here, I will tell you that. We had Cameo, Call of Duty 2, King Kong, and then there was also Hexic. That's kind of hiding in the Xbox Live tab here. That was just kind of to show off Xbox Live Arcade, which was awesome then. Again, new concept. The demo that I remember playing and being blown away by, Call of Duty 2. Let me know in the comments if you were someone who saw Call of Duty 2 for the first time and you were like, this is it. This is next gen. It's never getting any better than this. I have not played this demo since this day. I played the full game, have not played this demo. And in fact, the full game I haven't played in a long time. Here we go. Let's see if this absolutely destroys any and all nostalgia I have. There is one specific effect that I want to do that I remember blew me away. And we'll get to that when we get into the game. Yep. I mean, come on. You have to remember this demo, right? I remember it was also on PC, but just riding in like this and looking around, I was like, man, this is insane. This looks ridiculous. We were ooh, wow. the dust effect back there. It hits the frame rate pretty hard. Think about, we were coming off of the original Xbox, the PS2, and the GameCube. We didn't really have clean visuals, quote unquote, like this. I mean, it just looked next level. It looked next gen compared to what we had. So we'll jump. We even have, like, you see those heat, kind of the heat waves there. I mean, it was the little things that we barely think of now because it's obvious it would be in the game. This was like all new stuff. Even kind of the set pieces and the cinematic aspects to it blending in with the game was pretty new as well. Call of Duty 2, you know what? Again, it's older. It's still pretty good. I mean, it's not as flashy. Once they went to Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, they figured out the formula they wanted. It was a bit more arcadey. It still tried to be somewhat grounded, but man, when you leveled up and the guitar riff hit and stuff, I understand it had that dopamine rush compared to this, which not as rewarding when you take out somebody. Although their helmet went flying, that was kind of cool, but not as rewarding, right, compared to what you got later on. I want to throw a smoke grenade. So this is the thing that did it. The smoke grenade. I know it's gonna sound so dumb. The smoke grenade. When the smoke started coming up, and you got kind of that transparent smoke effect, that was so like different and new right there, like all this smoke. This is not something, oh, you can see it is like chugging the system. This is not at all what we had with the Xbox and the PS2. This was so different to walk through the smoke like this. You know what? I'm not as offended by this as I thought I would be looking at this thinking, what was I doing back then? It doesn't look anywhere near what we have. And we're talking somewhat almost photorealistic visuals, you know, with some of the games. This isn't that egregious though. Like, I'm not looking at this thinking, this is disgusting. What was I doing? No, I get it. In 2005, I still understand why this was so impressive. Even the screen shake with the planes going overhead there. Although I'm sure there are plenty of people in the comments who do have a lot of nostalgia for Call of Duty 2. This was a game that did have, I know it got really popular when they did Modern Warfare, but this is a game that definitely had like a competitive following, the whole thing. Like there's full multiplayer for this. I think the part that really annoyed me about this game is when you put it on the hardest difficulty, the computer threw some of the craziest grenades I've ever seen. Like to the point where it felt cheap. Like it just did. And you'd just be sitting there and somehow they would land a grenade perfectly at your feet. And of course it's in the hardest difficulty, so it would just kill you immediately. I do think back to the previous generation at the time. It was Medal of Honor Frontline that had where you're storming the beaches, and that was an aha moment. And this was basically, this is kind of what that felt like. I mean, we're popping smoke, and you just have that legit smoke effect that goes up and just shields everything. That's the thing I remember the most was the smoke grenades, but it had that effect of when you were storming the beaches with Medal of Honor Frontline. Same kind of thing. And that was a really cool moment at that time. It was significantly better than what we had with the PS1 and the N64. And this was just head and shoulders above what we had with the Xbox and the PS2 and the GameCube. And this was a really good demo, by the way, for Microsoft to get locked up for the Xbox 360, because even beyond this, it never went to the PS3, and this was the system seller at the time was Call of Duty. I remember it was such a big thing for Microsoft to have set up for their console. It showed it really well. It felt next gen, and it was kind of that mature shooter that a lot of people were blown away by.
Your target. Commencing attack. Out.
But what a great time in the gaming industry it was back then. And while we still had another year to get to the PlayStation 3 and the Wii, which of course then just rounded out that generation with a couple of other interesting paths and ideas from Sony and Nintendo, the Xbox 360, I think for a lot of people, was that aha moment, especially from Microsoft, because let's face it, it was their most popular generation. It's the one that I'm sure many people think of first when they consider Microsoft in the gaming space. But let me know what you guys think about this down below. It's the 20th anniversary for the Xbox 360. I had to recognize it with a video because it was such an important system in my life. So let me know, guys, down in the comments, any awesome memories you have maybe from this generation. Actually, any memories at all, because the Red Ring is certainly going to come up. So let me know if you had some crazy Red Ring stories or even some awesome experiences with games or with friends as Xbox Live really found its way out into the mainstream during this generation. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.